Okay, so we're starting 8.5 A through B today. Tomorrow we'll do 8.5 C through E. I'm trying to break them down, make it as small and partition as possible, partition as much as possible. So hopefully this is helping. Our essential understanding is polynomials can be divided using steps that are similar to the long division steps that are used to divide whole numbers. So from your do now, what are the steps that you used in elementary school to divide? What did you do? All at once? At least one person? Somebody? Everybody? Anybody? Did you do your do now? Yes. Okay, what were the steps for long division? There we go. We divide, we multiply, we subtract, we bring down, right? Those are the steps that we learned in elementary school. Agreed? Yes. All right, so those same steps are going to be used here. Now, division terminology. So when you were in elementary school, you learn how to divide long division, and these are the parts of long division. So what's underneath your division bar, that's your dividend. What's outside is your divisor. The result is your quotient. And if there's anything left over, that is your remainder, right? A division problem can be written in different ways. So 277 divided by 12 equals 23. Remember the R, remainder 1. Does that look familiar? Feels familiar? Okay. And then as you got older, you learned that division can be written as a fraction. So I would have 277 divided by 12. And the result here would be 23, but instead of writing R1, I would write 1/12 remaining. Does that look familiar? Going from an improper to a mixed number? Yeah? All of that's division, right? Okay, now we're going to take it in from elementary over here to Algebra 2. So in Algebra 2, we're still doing the same thing. The names are still there. And as you can see, we are still follow through with the same process. We have our dividend. Our dividend is just now a full polynomial. So we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 7 divided by x plus 2. And then we have our quotient equals 2x plus 3. And we have our remainder of 1. Okay. In our next unit, we'll have rationals, and we're going to talk about how long division, writing it as a rational. So rational just means writing it as a fraction. So this could be written as a fraction as well. And once you get to pre-cal, you're no longer going to be using the R. Okay, R is not going to be there. You're going to write it as a complete result. So just a little peek into pre-cal. We have 2x plus 3 plus 1 over your divisor. So that's what your result would be written, or how your result will be written at that point. Okay, but for us, we are still focusing on R, the remainder. Cool? All right, but we see the similarity between arithmetic and polynomial long division. Dividing polynomials. Dividing polynomials is pretty much what I just said, but what your result is, so your P of X, your polynomial, that is your dividend, it equals the divisor times the quotient plus your remainder. So our divisor times our quotient plus the remainder. That's going to produce your P of X, okay? If your remainder equals 0, then there isn't a remainder, and your divisor and your quotient are factors of your polynomial, okay? So if your remainder equals 0, then obviously there isn't a remainder, and your divisor and your quotient are factors of your polynomial. So, making sure we understand. So when we are starting, you're going to set it up. In your setup, you want to make sure polynomials are in standard form. And then you want to fill in any missing terms with 0 placeholders, okay? Remember, standard form means that I have ax to the 4th plus bx to the 3rd plus cx squared plus dx plus e. Standard form means I am in decreasing order of power. And 0 placeholder means that if I'm missing one of these terms, I'm going to put a 0 of that in place. So if I was missing my cubic, where b is, I would put 0x cubed. If I was missing my quadratic, where c is, I would put 0x squared. Okay? And then we're going to go through these steps. So the steps that you're doing are starting off the same. We divide. So we divide the first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor and put that on our quotient line. We're going to multiply. We multiply the divisor by that answer and put that, and put the, I actually wrote below twice, and put the product below the dividend. Okay, then we subtract to create a new polynomial. And when you're subtracting, remember this means you're changing the sign of each term. And I forgot to write the word bring down. I apologize. So we bring down and we repeat the process until the degree of the remainder is less than the degree of the divisor. So again, we divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. All right, let's do our first example. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to look like a lot of work because I'm doing what's going on in my brain on paper. So you're going to see my thought process. So step one, we're going to read, use polynomial long division to divide 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus 20x minus 46 by x squared minus 5. What is the quotient and the remainder? So this is our dividend. And this is our divisor. So step one is where we set it up. For our divisor, we are missing our linear term. So we're going to write x squared plus 0x minus 5. Divided by our dividend, which is 4x to the third plus 3x squared minus 20x minus 46. So do you see how we use 0 as a placeholder? Okay. Step two is to divide. When you're dividing the first term of your dividend by the first term of your divisor. So you're thinking in your head, what is 4x cubed divided by x squared? And what is that? 4x. So you take that result and it's the first thing that goes in your quotient line. Okay. Step three is to multiply. So you're going to multiply that 4x to your divisor. So we're going to have 4x times x squared plus 0x minus 5. So we distribute. And that gives us 4x to the third plus 0x squared minus 20x. Step four is to subtract. When you're subtracting, you're changing the signs of your polynomials. So 4x cubed minus 4x cubed goes away. 3x squared minus 0x squared is 3x squared. Negative 20x plus 20x is 0x. Step five is to check to see if you bring down. And you check by saying if the degree of your remainder is less than the degree of your divisor, then you're done. But it's not true here. So I'm going to bring down and repeat the process again. So I bring down and repeat. So starting here with dividing, 3x squared divided by x squared. So In my head, I'm thinking 3x squared divided by x squared equals 3. Put that on my quotient line. Step 2 is to multiply that value times your divisor. So in my head, I'm doing 3 times x squared plus 0x minus 5. That gives me 3x squared plus 0x minus 15. Step 4 is to subtract. Subtract, subtract, subtract. That leaves me with negative 46 plus 15 is negative 31. There's nothing left to bring down. And so here's my remainder. And here's my quotient. So my quotient is 4x plus 3, and my remainder is negative 31. How do we feel? Okay. Let's try another one. So it says use polynomial long division to divide 3x cubed minus 8x squared minus 21x plus 56 by x squared minus 7. What are the quotient and the remainder? So my dividend and my divisor. Step 1 is to set it up. So my divisor has a missing linear. So I'm going to put 0x minus 7 divided by 3x to the third minus 8x squared minus 21x plus 56. Step 2 is to divide. So we have 3x cubed divided by x squared. So 3x cubed divided by x squared is what? Three x. 3 minus 2 is 1x. Okay, step 3 is to multiply that times your divisor. So in my head, for step 3, I'm doing 3x times x squared plus 0x minus 7. That gives me 3x cubed plus 0x squared minus 21x. Step 4 is to subtract. So I'm going to subtract, changing the signs. And I have negative 8x squared minus 0x squared is negative 8x squared. I have negative 21x plus 21x. That gives me 0x. Step 5 is to bring down. So I bring down and I repeat if the degree of my remainder is not less than the degree of my divisor, and it is not. So I'm going to repeat. So I start again with division. Negative 8x squared divided by x squared. So we have negative 8x squared divided by x squared equals negative 8. Add that to my quotient bar. Step 2 is to multiply. Step 3 is to multiply. So I have negative 8 times x squared plus 0x minus 7. That gives me negative 8x squared plus 0x plus 56. Step 4 is to subtract. Subtraction just means I'm changing the signs. And 56 minus 56 is 0. So I have no remainder. When this happens, what that means is that 3x minus 8 and x squared minus 7 are factors. So 3x cubed minus 8x squared minus 21x plus 56 equals x squared minus 7 times 3x minus 8. And that's because I have my quotient and no remainder. Questions? Okay, so you're going to try, and we'll see how far you get. Let's see how we did. So on 1, your setup. So when you set it up, you had 4x squared plus 0x plus 2 divided by, and if you did not set it up like this, it is okay. And that's because this is a special quartic trinomial, and we know that its factors are set up with a constant and a quadratic. So if you did it, it's okay, but it's good practice to fill in. So we have 4x to the 4th plus 0x to the 3rd plus 14x squared plus 0x plus 12. So all my fillers are in. Then I'm going to start with dividing. So dividing 4x to the 4th divided by 4x squared. So we have 4x to the 4th divided by 4x squared equals x squared. Then I'm going to go to multiplying. So I have x squared times 4x squared plus 0x plus 2. So that gives me 4x to the 4th plus 0x to the 3rd plus 2x squared. Then I'm going to subtract. And that gives me 12x squared. And 12x squared, I'm going to bring down because 12x squared is not a lower degree than my divisor. So I bring down. So we have plus 0x plus 12. And I'm going to repeat, bring down and repeat. So I have 12x squared divided by 4x squared. That gives me 12x squared divided by 4x squared equals 3. So plus 3. Then I'm going to multiply by 3. So I have 3 times 4x squared plus 0x plus 2. That gives me 12x squared plus 0x plus 6. So I've divided, I multiplied, I subtract now. So subtracting means I'm changing the signs. And that gives me 6. So I have a remainder of 6. And there's no need to bring down because the degree is less than my divisor. So my quotient is x squared plus 3. My remainder is 6. How do we do? Cool. All right.